Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Tales from the Gemini, it's BT. And you know what? I just turned lemons into lemonade. You're about to find out here in a minute. Thanks, Malik. I appreciate it. My original guest, fell deathly ill. Hope he's gonna be okay. He fell deathly ill, and I was like, who am I gonna talk to? And being that it's MotoGP season, GP testing is right around the corner. Who better to talk to than my heart, my soul, Miss Vanessa Guerra, who works for Red Bull Motorsports, who works for RedBull.com. Let's get Vanessa on here right now. I mean, right now. Let's go. Let's get her. Is she clicking in? Here we go. Is she clicking? There she is. What's up, Vanessa? Can you hear me? Can you see me?
Yes, I can.
How are you, darling? How are you?
I am good. How are you?
I'm doing great. We have a bet in the studio about how old you are, and Wyatt says you are 27. How old are you?
No, I said lower than
He said lower than 27.
Lower than 30.
He said lower than 30. He says about 25.
Wyatt, you deserve a raise, my man, because I'm 37.
Are you serious? I said 30 and I felt bad saying 30. I said 30 and I felt bad. I go, man, she's going to kill me. I really thought 27. Seriously, I really thought 27. Wow. And I do mean wow. And you have the same birthday that Valentino Rossi has, right?
Yes, it's just the day before Marc Marquez. Yeah, I'm surrounded.
Well, you're surrounded by greatness, and that's what you are. Is great. You're surrounded by greatness.
I wouldn't go as far as saying that.
You're in the sandwich of greatness. Valentino and you and Mark. You're in the sandwich of greatness. How great is that? Seriously.
I was destined for racing.
You were destined for racing, and greatness is what you are, Vanessa. And I mean it from the bottom of my heart. I mean, how great are you? If anybody hasn't watched Red Bull, you go to RedBull.com or RedBullMotorsports.com.
You can go to redbull.com, or you can also go to their YouTube channel, and at the Red Bull Motorsport YouTube channel, to watch Inside Pass. Which, by the way, there's going to be 2 preseason episodes, so go watch.
Oh my! Honestly, if you haven't seen Inside Pass, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, I have a indoor bicycle at home, and when I'm getting ready, I watch Inside Pass when we're warming up, and I watch you on that. And honestly, it's the most entertaining because it shows people the human side of the riders. I mean, their sense of humor and how silly they are and how fun it. Because I mean, that's a lot of pressure there on GP, but you get that side of them that nobody gets, and I think that's why it's so much fun to watch. And you're great at that. I mean that.
Thanks. Thank you. It's always good, What? Yeah, go for it.
No. I was going to say the one I watched, and we talked about this before. It was the one with Jack Miller. I think was it Rocco's Ranch? Was it Rocco's Ranch? Yes. Rocco's Ranch, if you watch it, and they're doing wheelies, and Vanessa crashed, and I damn near fell off my exercise bicycle. I go, no. And my heart skipped a beat. I go, no, my baby, no. And that's when I realized it could be destined between us, because I felt that way when you see, something happen to your baby girl, and you go, oh, baby girl, what happened?
Aww.
And yes, I did. It touched my heart. And I was like, that's when I realized, you know what? I need to fly across the ocean and come to Madrid and make that move, I think.
Yeah? You're going to really go across the pond?
Trust me. It would not be a big stretch for me to do it. Trust me. Nothing holds me back here. I would do that in a heartbeat. Be around GP and you in Madrid, my favorite city. I get to be an actor, act in Spanish movies, which are the best movies, by the way.
And the food, man. Don't forget the food.
Well, duh. And we could just feed each other food all day, like tapas and Did you see qualifying? I know. How about FP3? And we just all day long. How great would that be?
Well, I'll be working, though. I can't really feed you if I'm working.
Well, when you come back to the hotel room, I'll be that way. I'll be like, hey, guess who's got dinner ready? I mean, honestly, I'll be in the hotel room. I have dinner already laid out, so you don't have to go anywhere. And I take your shoes.
You got it all figured out.
I do. And I have your shoes. I take your shoes off and put your feet in like a little pot and put like a oil in them and massage them, because you've been walking around all day and my baby's feet is tired. Yeah. I would do that for you. I'll
have to consider.
Wait a minute, man. Wait, I'm saying all this like, do you have a man? I'm sorry. I'm saying all this, but... If you pause, it means you do.
Let's just say I'm talking to someone, so we'll see where that goes.
Well, good. I hope he treats you with the respect. Yeah, well, I hope he treats you with the respect you deserve, because you are great. And I mean it from the bottom of my heart. All jokes aside, you are great at what you do. And I think you were one of my first guests when this started. And I can't remember, did we do our first one before the pandemic or it started? Do you remember?
We did it with the pandemic already in place. Yeah. We're on full lockdown, and we did the first episode, You and Me Together.
Yes, and we didn't know how the world was going to change and what was going to happen with the season. And then the season started. And what was, like, when it first started, what was your takeaway from the season when it first started? Like, in Jerez, by the way. Like, go ahead.
So first of all, like, I didn't have access to the paddock and to the riders that I usually have. So we actually traveled to Jerez, so we had to basically film from the hotel room. And the difficulty there was that actually the only way we could get footage and content from the riders was we had to drop off our GoPros at the reception desk of the hotel where the teams were staying. Mm-hmm. We would just drop them off in the morning and then pick them up in the evening, and then see what they had filmed and come up with, and then try to make a vlog out of it, which, was slightly nerve-wracking. You never know what they're going to film, so you never know what kind of content you're going to get. So for the first 3 rounds, we had to work like that. And then for the first Austrian Grand Prix, we were granted access, luckily. And it wasn't going back to normal, because obviously there was still restrictions in place, but it was a bit easier to work.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Man. So, like, did you ever think it'd get to the point where restrictions were lifted?
I thought, I got encouraged when they said, they're going to let 10,000 people in the grandstand, in Misano. So I thought, maybe there's a chance that, we might go back to normal. But then the cases, started to rise again in Europe. So I was like, no, it looks like it's going to be, it's going to remain like this whole season. And it's looking like it's going to still be the same beginning of 2021, at least until the summer. It's going to be the same restrictions in place.
Yeah, I'm more of a rather safer than sorry kind of person, but I think, this is just me talking out of my ass, but I really think toward the end of the year, I think they're going to let people in. And I mean, I fingers crossed, but I think toward the end of the year, I'm talking about November. I think around November, I think vaccines, if it's anything like the United States, I think, and Europe is smaller, I think vaccines to get out, and I really think, and I'm hoping that Valencia has people there, because there's something about, I know the riders don't really like it. It's not really that great of a track, but I just love Valencia because that's usually the championship decider, and there's something special about that place, and I just love it. You know what I mean? I mean, you have to really, even though they don't like it, it's not really a horsepower kind of track. I just love Valencia for what it encompasses. Everything. Like, okay, it's not your track, but so you got to be on your P's and Q's. What do you do to win? Like, I just remember being there when Dovey could have beat Marquez and everything happened. Marquez went wide into the gravel, and Dovey could have, took advantage of it, but he couldn't pass Lorenzo, and they both crashed. And I mean, man, I was right in front of Dovey's pit, and I just remember like feeling like I wanted to cry. And there's something, and that for some reason, I think that was the first or second time I was in Valencia, and that just stuck with me. And for some reason, that place is special to me. You know what I mean?
I mean, do you remember end of the 2015 season with the championship decider going down to Valencia between Lorenzo and Vale? And that was nerve-wracking, man, because there was, that penalty in place in which no matter which position Valentino would qualify in, he would start dead last on that grid. And that was incredible.
Well, you know what? I mean, I don't know if you want to go down that road, but we could talk 215 if you want to go down that road. It's up to you, because you have access to the riders more than I do. And no offense, but and luckily this is National Women's Month, and that's why I have you on. So thank you so much. So they won't like punch you like they would me. You know what I mean? But my thoughts on 215 are this, and what people don't realize, they say this and that, but Rossi talked about what Mark did at Phillip Island, but. Iannone was one that took points away from him in Phillip Island. Iannone took points away. And if Rossi wouldn't have pulled that move in Misano when he was going slow on the racing line and Lorenzo went out on his fast lap, he got a warning. So that's why he got that penalty from Malaysia. So if he would have just played it right, he could have won the chance. If he would have kept his mouth shut, And I hate to say that, I don't, as harsh as it sounds, if he would just kept his mouth shut, he could have won a championship. If he wouldn't have pulled that if he wouldn't have pulled that move where he went on the racing line and was cruising on the racing line, knowing Lorenzo was on a fast lap, man, and he could have won, and he didn't piss off Superman at that press conference and go, yeah, I think Mark is working with Lorenzo, and then that pissed Mark off because Mark knew he didn't have a chance to win, and he pretty much said, I got nothing to lose, and then that's what happened. And then we saw in that Valencia, I just remember Petrucci literally looking back, and he saw Rossi, and he got over for him. You know what I mean? I was like, oh my God.
Not just Petrucci, all of the Italian riders except for Dovi.
You know what, honestly, what do you, like I said, I kind of hate going down that road, but since we're already there, I mean, like, what did you think, what did you take from that when that was going down? Because honestly, I'm watching it from home and I'm like, okay, they're getting over for him, but I mean, it's King Rossi. You're Italian. You don't have a dog in this fight. You're not going to win the championship. Okay.
Yeah, so I put myself in an Italian rider's shoes, it's your fellow Italian rider, fellow national. He has a shot, to get his 10th title, which is what Rossi desperately wants, I think, to equal Giacomo Agostini. And you have that one shot. What are you going to do? Are you going to get in the way of him, or are you going to try to give him, the chance to take that shot? Obviously, I understand what they did. In terms of racing, is it great? No. It's not great for the show. It's not really fair because it's not racing. It's just, okay. I mean, for me, it was a bit of a disrespect for their teams because the teams had worked so hard throughout the weekend to give them the best setup possible, for the race. And they just sort of moved to the side to let Rossi ride. So I can understand both sides. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's one for the history books.
You said a lot without saying a lot. I mean, it's like, I hear you, and that was, like you said, you could be a politician, even though we promised not to talk politics, because that was a great political answer. And I hear you. It's not great for the show, but it's like the last, and you're right, though. The crews work hard. I mean, the more I do this, the more I almost feel bad is how annoying I am in the pits. I feel so bad for those guys because they're working so hard. There I am annoying them, but it's like, I know, but like I said, if you're not up for the championship, it's like, yeah, do you race these guys hard? I've been there. I've talked to, I remember talking to Jonas Folger when it was a Moto3 championship, and he was stuck between Vinales and Rins. It's like he's in that battle. Like, what do I do? Do I stay in their way or whatever? But I want to win also. It's the last race of the year. I got to make myself look good. So you're caught between that battle. But all I know is, I just remember Mark. Like, to me, he never passed Lorenzo, but it didn't look like he gave his best effort to pass him. And it just looked like that he raced Pedrosa really hard when Pedrosa came upside him and tried to pass him. Like, he raced Pedrosa really, really hard. And then Rossi came up, and all Rossi had if Pedrosa would have passed Marquez, then Rossi would have won the championship. And Marquez raced Pedrosa really, really hard. That's all I remember. And then I remember him coming to the pits, and when Rossi came in, I gave him that long ceremonial line. Everybody was clapping, and I just remember at home, man, I felt like I wanted to cry. And that was the emptiest feeling in the world, man. When Rossi came in, and he had that look, he exhaled, he hugged his pit crew, and that dude with the bald head, I don't know his name. He looked like he wanted to kill somebody. I just remember that. I got with the bald head in his crew, and he had this look on his face like, I'm going to go and rip his head off. And Rossi came in, and man, I just wanted to cry. I felt so bad for him because in a way, I kind of knew. I mean, I hope I'm wrong. I just felt like that was his last really legit shot. I mean, maybe now... maybe now with a new team and he doesn't have his old team, sometimes that's what you need, that shot in the arm. But, he's an old dog. Can he learn new tricks? And that's what's going to be interesting about 2021, I think.
It's interesting you mentioned that because he is bringing his crew chief with him from factory Yamaha to the Petronas Yamaha SRT team. So he is keeping his crew chief. He wasn't able to bring his full crew. Because, traditionally, back in the day, the crews would stay and only the rider would move. And then I think it was Casey Stoner who started off that sort of new faction of bringing your crew with you, which has been quite popular in the last, maybe 5, 6, 7 years. But Valentino's only going to bring his young crew chief. It's going to be his second season with him. So he's going to be able to build on, the relationship they've established, the working relationship they've established already last year. But maybe they have, new blood, new energy, new crew, new dynamic. And then he's going to have, Morbidelli as a teammate. So, and they're used to, racing one another at the ranch.
At the ranch,
see
yeah.
how that dynamic goes.
Have you ever been to the ranch? You ever been to the ranch?
No, I haven't.
You've never been invited to the ranch?
I haven't, but I've been to the Texas Tornado Boot Camp in Texas. So I've been to Colin Edwards' ranch. So
Did you ride?
Of course, I've been there twice.
Oh my God! Look at you! You flat tracked? That's why you gotta love. That's why you love Vanessa.
We did a bit of shooting. We did barbecue. We did the whole bonfire at night. It was really nice.
The whole Texas thing. You did the whole Texas. The Texas trifecta. The Texas trifecta. How did you like shooting the gun? How did you like shooting the gun? How did you like that?
I really enjoyed it.
Really?
I have to say I really enjoyed it. Yeah, but again, I used to be a part of a airsoft club, so yeah.
Really?
Yeah, and I've done paintball. Yeah.
Paintball is fun. We got to do paintball together sometime. That'd be fun. Me and you should do paintball. We'll try to destroy each other. How about that?
That sounds good to me.
That'd be great.
Post-pandemic, let's do it.
Yes, I mean, like I said, I really think the restrictions, fingers crossed, are going to be set aside, and then fingers crossed, and then I think the world's going to be open, and which means fans at the MotoGP races, and it's going to be so great. It's going to be so great. What from last year? What did you take from last year? Like, what was the surprise last year to you? If you can, what really sticks out in your mind? Like, wow, I wasn't expecting that last year.
Well, first of all, the one memory I don't think I'll ever erase from my mind was the crash in Austria, in the first Austrian race. That crash between Zarco and Morbidelli, and then the aftermath of the bike sort of flying right in front of Viñales and Rossi. I think I will never forget that in my life because it was so scary. I don't think I've ever been that scared in many, many years. So I think that's one of the moments that are like, ooh, never forget. And then I was very surprised by Morbidelli's consistency in his performance with the Yamaha, given that all of the other Yamaha riders were struggling so much. So for me, that was one of the things that surprised me this year. And then, Mead is not so much of a surprise because we do know that Mead is he is very talented. So we were sort of waiting for him to come. And in a way, I was expecting from Viñales 2-3 seasons ago what we are seeing of Mir now, if I'm honest.
Yeah. You're not the only one, and I said this, and you can ask Wyatt. I said it. I go, man, the one rider I want is Viñales. For some reason, I feel like I connect with him because he said it when he had an interview with Matt Dunn. He was like, I'm a loner, and I don't really. And if you watch him, everybody else has an entourage except for him, man. He's pretty much like a lone wolf, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but the thing is, racing is not an individual sport, and I think that's something that you need to sort of riders need to. Most of them integrate it. Is that you have a crew around you. You need to create that synergy. You need to create that magic around you to win that championship because it's all about the package. It's the bike, it's the crew, it's the rider, and it's Lady Luck next to you. It's like you need to have all of that, align for you to make everything happen, to get your best shot at a title. So you need your crew. You need to create that relationship with them. You can't be a loner.
Because I think that those guys help deflect everything else. You got that helmet guy or whatever. Like Tom, who's Fabio's right hand man, or the dude with Jack or whatever. They're really cool dudes, but they can be the guys kind of the buffer. You know what I mean? Where all you got to do is worry about getting out, getting in that garage, and putting a helmet on, and going and doing your job instead of like, oh, I got to do this. And I just feel if Maverick, maybe it's a trust issue. Where he just has to be like, I trust somebody else implicitly.
It comes down to personality, Some people are more outgoing, other people are more, they just like to stay, alone. And I think Maverick is more one of those introverted kind of persons, and that has an effect, on the people around you. The more outgoing you are, the more people are going to feel like they can relate to you because you're more open and you're going to talk more and you're going to create that bond faster.
Okay, well, speaking of that, have you ever had Maverick on your show, on the Inside Pass?
I've had him back in 2019, so it's been a while. Yeah, he's been on the past.
What did you take from that? Don't get me wrong. I think Maverick is great, but what did you take from that though? Like when you beneath the surface, what did you feel? Did you feel like there was something there's something missing, or he seemed normal?
No, if I'm honest, when he's relaxed and when he's not talking racing, he's super easygoing and he smiles a lot more than he does in the pit box, I'll tell you that. Yeah. And he was actually a really good sport. I don't see anything missing or anything wrong. I just think, he's a super focused guy to the point that he is like hyper concentrated. And sometimes you need to, you know how like people always tell you, don't forget to have fun and enjoy what you're doing.
Yes. He forgets to have fun.
In a way, I say that's the feeling. And then again, we're not super close, so I don't know. But I have the feeling that you cannot get to a point that you're so obsessed with the performance that you no longer have fun. And that's when I think that's where the trouble starts.
Well, it's funny you say that because I was listening to a podcast with Scott Redding, and Scott Redding said it's not fun for him racing. He goes, the only time he had fun was when he did like a track day, and he was, I think, an instructor or whatever, and he goes, I'm actually having fun. I think Neil Hodgson said the same thing. He goes, I think he did he taught a track day or something. He goes, wow, this is fun. But when they're actually racing, I think it's the pressure and having to perform. They have to get a good result, or this and that happens that we don't know about. And it makes it so like it's a pressure cooker they're in. And they have to put that fake smile when they leave the paddock and take pictures and kiss babies. And people don't realize what goes on. So, I think you stumbled onto something when you said they forget to have fun, but it's hard to have fun when you got all that pressure on, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, speaking about pressure, imagine Fabio Quartararo. Like, I can't even imagine the amount of pressure he might be under when he's basically, he's now on Valentino's, side of the pit box, and he's replaced him, which is quite something. And there's a lot of expectations that come with that. And you're now a factory rider. You're no longer a satellite rider. So there's a lot of expectations that come with that. So the pressure, is going to be there for him. So I'm curious to see how he will perform now with that added pressure.
I feel the same way about Fabio also. I feel that Fabio, he had so much fanfare coming into Moto3, and it just didn't happen. You saw the promise, like, okay, this guy, when he gets it, he's gonna get it. And I think, maybe if I'm wrong, maybe it just didn't happen. And then I think his body started changing. He started getting taller, bigger, whatever. And he grew that grew the Moto3 bike. And I was like, man, I don't think it's gonna happen for him. Then he went to Moto2, and it's like, oh, you don't really hear his name. It's like, oh man. And I just remember I spent my birthday in Barcelona, and I don't know, maybe that's the synergy I feel with him. And I remember I think he got pole that race. And then he won it. And I mean, that emotion he had, man. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons people love him, because he's young and he wears his emotions on his sleeve, and they counted him out. And what I love about GP is the stories behind the story. And, like you could count him out like it's over for him, whatever. And he never quit. And then you saw the promise in him. And then he got that MotoGP ride. And people are like, really, this guy? And now you look at what he's doing. So I think this year will be a telltale sign for him. I really think so also. And I kind of wish that crash in Jerez with Marquez, I would love to have seen he and Fabio duel it out. I think that would have been one for the ages.
I mean, that race, the comeback on Mark's, that Mark was, doing was incredible. I think is one of the best ones I've ever seen in, the 12 years that I've been in the industry. That was like a great comeback. And had it gotten to that point where Mark and Fabio were, taking it down to the last lap, that would have been epic, as you said. Yeah, for sure.
Who do you think would have won that last lap battle? Who do you think would have won?
Honestly, Mark.
I tell people all the time, I said, man, I've seen winners like Michael Jordan, whatever, and that different cloth of cut, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart, I say Michael Jordan and I say Marc Marquez is a close second. And people obviously in the United States don't know. That's why I'm going to move to Madrid with you. But that they don't know about Marc Marquez. And Marc Marquez is that cutthroat. I mean, I don't know if you saw the picture of him on that front row. He's eyeing, it's a great picture. He's looking at Fabio with this look I've never seen Mark have before, like, yeah, I'm going to bring it to you. And I mean, and that's what you love about Mark, that never say die attitude. And I think, honestly, with him there, and man, I hope everything goes right. If he's right, and he's like the old Marquez, and this field, I think, yes, yes, I think this is going to be the greatest field in MotoGP history. I really think it's the greatest field ever in MotoGP history. I don't think there is a weak team. There's not a weak rider. I think this is the greatest. I mean, what do you think?
I think there's been a change of the guard in the MotoGP class, and
in what way?
Surely.
In what way?
In the sense that so Valentino is the last, let's say, like golden era of MotoGP. Like he's like the last rider from that era. Then Jorge's no longer there, Danny's no longer there, Dovi's not here this season. Maybe he'll be back next year if he has the chance. We don't know. But everyone from back in the day, Casey's no longer here. So the only one left is really Vale from those years. And now you have Mark, who is also now becoming one of the more mature riders, on the grid.
Yeah.
alongside Paul Espargaró, Aleix. I mean, Cal's not going to no longer be here this season either. So there's definitely been a change of the guard. And now you see, young up and coming, like, John Meade, Alex Rins is now, he could be a very serious contender also this season for the title. There's a lot of, Morbidelli, there's a lot of talent. And now you have the 3 rookies that are coming up, which I'm very curious to see what Bastianini, Marini, and Martin do this year. Actually, I want to ask you, who do you think from the 3 on a Ducati are going to get used to adapt to the bike, faster? From the 3 of them.
Martin. I think Jorge Martin, I mean, he finished up Moto 2 last year, the last 3 races, like a monster. I mean, he matured to the point. I mean, in a way, I'm old school like Mark. He said you got to win the championship, then move up, or you deserve to move up. But the way he was riding, I'm gonna say Jorge Martin. I mean, and I love Marini. He rides like his brother. He rides like his brother. But what Jorge Martin was doing last year, I'm gonna say Jorge Martin. How about you?
I agree with you. I agree with you. Actually, it's going to be a very close call between Martin and Bastianini. I think Bastianini is going to explode also this year in terms of like his performance and the way he's going to adapt to that Ducati.
People don't realize Bastianini could have won the championship Moto 3 that year Danny Kent won. He was in the running, and then he had that bad spate of races in the last, I think, before the flyaways. But let me tell you something. He was in it. I was like, who's this kid? And then he, kind of the Moto 3, like, okay. Then he moved up. I was like, let's see how this kid does. And then when Moto 2 happened, and some people get it late in life, and that's what I say. I'm getting life late. And I think, he's maturing into his own. Yeah. And you look at those pictures and how he is now and how he's matured as a person, as a man. And I'm like, man, the future for this kid and Marini, man, I tell you, GP is in great hands. I mean, great hands. But I think Jorge Martin's going to do something special. I really do.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I can't wait for the first test.
Yes.
To see what they're made of.
Okay, so who do you think, who was a surprise last year as far as rider goes, and on what team? Like as far as like just performing, good or bad. Like I was expecting more from blank, or I thought this person was really gonna, and he exceeded my expectations, or I didn't think this person was gonna do that well.
Brad Binder exceeded my expectations, winning his first MotoGP race within 3 races. I mean, That was like, what?
Yes.
What did he do?
Yeah.
What? That was a special moment. I was like, did he just do that in Brno? Did he just win his first ever MotoGP race and it's only his 3rd race?
Yes.
I was like, okay, this is something very special.
Yeah,
And then...
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And then I was really expecting Fabio to win last year's championship. At the very beginning of the season, taking the 2 wins in Jerez, I was like, okay, this is it. That's it. Yeah, because I thought it was going to be Fabio or Dovi, and then it ended up being Meade. Which it's well deserved. There's been a lot of debate last year in the paddock before he got his first win about him being a world title, a championship winner without a win. But that was settled with his first win. But he was consistent. This is the thing. You need to be consistent because most riders, they have like ups and downs, but he was quite consistent, and that's why he managed to get all those points.
Well, I think with Mir, and I love Mir, and I remember meeting him at the rental. We rented from the same rental company in Austria years ago when he won the Moto3 championship, and just that he just got that look. He had it, he had that it. I could just tell when I met him and the way he was carrying himself, even though it was out in public, and he didn't know me from Adam. And I go, hey man, if I get a picture, he goes, yeah, and he just had that it, and you could just tell this guy's got it. But I think with Mir last year, where people had a problem was he didn't wow people. He didn't wow. Well, Marquez wows you. Like, you're forced to be like, okay, let's see what he's going to do. Where Mir, like you said, he's consistent. I mean, he was nowhere to be seen the first 3 or 4 races. Seriously, I mean, let's just be honest. And then he started boom, and then, got the ball rolling. It's like a snowball effect, going down the hill. And I think the fact that he didn't wow you, that's what makes people go, But, I mean, he's a great rider. I think he's just going to get better. And people don't realize the first year, I think he could have got Rookie of the Year, but that crash in Brno when he joined the space program in the Czech Republic, that really set him back. Otherwise, I think he would have been Rookie of the Year. People don't realize that because it wasn't publicized.
Yeah, you know who I have high expectations for this season?
Who?
Is Jack Miller on that factory Ducati.
Yes. Yes. I mean, this is it for Jack. I mean, I personally feel like this is it. This is what you wanted. You got the factory ride. You've been with Ducati before with the Pramac team, and he had some bad luck. Like the tear off and blocking his air vent.
Fabio's tear off, yeah.
Yeah, blocking his air vent. And what else? What else was there that happened that wasn't his fault? There was something else that happened that wasn't his fault. There was a tear off, and there was something else that happened.
He had to retire. I think he had a DNS. He had a technical issue.
And was it the French GP? I think it was the French GP. There was a problem that he hadn't practiced, and they knew it was going to happen, and they kept their fingers crossed for the race, and the problem came up. Because I remember him saying that. But Miller, if he didn't have that bad luck, there was no fault of his own, and then Bender crashed him in the beginning of the race. Miller was in it to win it last year, and if he gets consistency on that Ducati, and I think he and that Ducati they're like sugar and spice. I mean, I think they're going to be like this. I think this year is going to be his year.
And you know what? He is actually keeping his crew chief from Pramac Ducati. He's coming with him to the factory team, Christian Pupolini. So it's a good thing for him.
Oh, I can't wait.
He's carrying that momentum. Hopefully, he will carry that momentum by taking his crew chief.
I think it's going to be great. Okay, so what do you think of Paul? I mean, he's got what he wanted now. I mean, that's what he want. Like, he was with KTM, and I felt so bad for him when Bender took all the credit. He's the first KTM winner, and then Oliveira, to me,
he took 2 wins, man. 2 wins.
I mean, two great. And the funny thing about that is Oliveira talks shit about him. And remember he said, when Oliveira goes, some people aren't born with intelligence like that, just natural intelligence. And Paul read that and he goes, and the guy didn't even say he was sorry. And I read that and he just sounded pissed off when I read that. He goes, he didn't even say he was sorry. And he was in his head. And I ain't gonna lie, I love Paul, but I laughed when I read that. And it had to eat him up inside knowing 2 KTMs won and neither one was him. So now
this is the thing. This is the thing. They have achieved wins on the work he's been carrying for the past 5 seasons.
Yes, he and
Bradley.
I
think that's the bit that hurt. Yeah, him and Bradley. So that's I think what hurts the most. That's the case. You know, that they've put in the work. You know, for years and years. They've had to. You know, they had a bike that was still in very early developing stages, and in come these 2 guys. You know, these 2 young ones, and they take their first win, and he hasn't. And I mean, that has to hurt. But then again, he's the one getting this factory ride with, you know, Honda, which is the most historically successful team in the MotoGP class, which also carries a lot of weight. You know, there's a lot of responsibility, and especially if Mark doesn't start the season next to him, he's going to be the one setting the tone, even though it's going to be Nakagami who has the most experience on the Yamaha. So, I mean, we'll see how that goes. I'm intrigued to see, you know, how he performs at the shakedown and the test.
Like the song says, be careful what you wish for, you just might get it all. So
don't jinx him. Don't jinx him.
No, I'm not jinxing him all. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I love Paul. My nickname for Paul is the handsome bastard. That's what I call him, the handsome bastard, because that's what he is. And don't get me wrong, he deserves it. I mean, he ran great. Like he's the most consistent KTM rider last year. It's just that, you know, things happen. He was running a good race in Brno, and then don't get me wrong, but didn't he crash with Zarco? Or Zarco? He said Zarco crashed him, right? It was Zarco had something to do with it. I think it was Zarco that ran into him. And he got mad.
So, yeah.
Zarco,
it was Zarco.
Zarco's always around bad stuff. It's like, if he doesn't cause it, he's always around it to the point you go, you know what? I don't really want this guy around. And you know what I mean? If I'm going for a championship and I look on the grid and he's next to me, I go, oh, God, please. Please, Jesus,
So,
please.
Speaking of Zarco, what do you think he's going to be able to do with that Pramac Ducati?
I think Zarco's going to have a good year. I think hopefully he'll be able to use that. In a way, I was watching the team the team launch, and the way the guy was talking to Martin, if I was Zarco, I'd have been a little pissy. You know what I mean? Like they talked to him like he was, you know, the belle of the ball, and meanwhile Zarco's like, hey, yeah, you know, I've been around too. You know, I've done a little bit here and there too. So I think Zarco is going to have his best year in MotoGP. Take that for what it is. I think he'll have his best year in MotoGP if he keeps it upright on 2 wheels. I think Zarco will have his best year in MotoGP. Podium, with this year's field, oh my God. I don't know about a podium, but I think he'll have consistent top 6s, and that's hard to say too. Consistent top 6s. So I think he'll have his best year. Pramac's a good bike, and from what he did with the bike he had last year and going to Pramac, I'm gonna say Zarco's gonna have his best year ever in MotoGP, and I think that with them fondling Martin, Martine, I think that Zarco's going to take that and use that for fodder, and I think he's going to have the best year. What do you think?
Okay, so I think so far the best season for Zarco so far to date was with the Tech 3 Yamaha Satellite. Yeah,
right.
Like he wowed everyone in his rookie season. He really wowed everyone. He was also outperforming the factory guys, at most of the rounds. So I think so to date that's his best year. One of the things that Zarco has proven is that he's a rider that adapts really well and really fast to bikes, because let's not forget he's ridden the Yamaha, he's ridden the Honda, when he was replacing Cal, and now he's on a Ducati. So this guy has proven that give him a bike, and he'll adapt to it and he will perform. So I think this, he can build on, he's already been with Ducati for a bit, so I think this could be, like you say, his year. But we will see, because you have very competitive guys on Ducatis. You have Jack. Pecco, we'll see how he does, because Pecco is going to have the pressure of being Italian on the factory Ducati bike.
I think Pecco would do well. I think Pecco would do well. I really do. I think Pecco would do well. But I think the pressure, for some reason, I'm just thinking the pressure goes to Jack. And I don't know why I'm saying that, but I think the pressure goes more to Jack than Pecco. And you're right, though. I mean, no, you make a great point, because Pecco's an Italian bike. Yeah. And when they go to Mugello and they go to Mazzano, man, I mean, if the crowds aren't there, that's going to work in his favor, I think. But if the crowds are there, it's like, oh God, I got to do really well. This is our cathedral here. But I just think Pecco would do well. I mean, he did well with Pramac last year. Of course, he had the crash in that race. He could have won, but he's
not consistent, though. He's not consistent. That's one of the things about Pecco. Love him, and he is talented, but he is not a consistent rider. Like, if you rely on him for the points.
Well, if it's all little things. It's the little things. So if he becomes consistent, I mean, he's on a factory bike, so there's no reason he shouldn't get a top. No reason why he shouldn't get fighting for top 4, top 5 at the least. Mm-hmm. At the least. So I mean, pressure either bursts pipes or makes diamonds. So we'll see what he's made of. I mean, no offense to Nakagami, but even Nakagami said this. The pressure got to him when he was in Aragon. The pressure got to him when he was leading the race and he slid out. He said that in his own words.
Yes, but we've seen Taka get out of his shell. Like, I think towards the end of last year, we've seen the potential that Taka has. And I think he's going to be very competitive this year, because I think he's not going to be afraid of showing his teeth, like we say in Spain, and being the fight. Like, I really believe he's going to be there. Yeah.
I think I can do it, but here's, and I think he's being disrespected a little bit, but I think Alex Marquez is, and it won't be a surprise, I think he'll have a lot better season than people will give him credit for, because I think last year, the way he performed in the wet at the French GP, and then he came back at Aragon and had a great race. So I really think that, they're sleeping on Alex. I think Alex took to the Honda a little bit quicker than they thought he would, and I really think he's going to have a great year. I mean, I'm looking for Alex to be in consistent top 5s. Alex is a smooth rider. Go ahead. Were you going to say something?
But, I agree with you. And there's one thing, politically speaking, Paul is coming into Honda. So all of the eyes are going to be on him in terms of, how well he's going to adapt and perform, because everyone's going to compare the way, he adapts to that Honda compared to how Alex performed last year, with those podiums and those results. And then on the other hand, Alex is stepping down from the factory to the satellite team, where there's less pressure, less expectation. And as you said, it's going to be easier than for Paul to fulfill those expectations that people are going to have. And he's going to have more time to sort of relax and grow into his own in the class. So I see it as a positive, actually, that he's going to LCR.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but he's going to be on the same bike he was on last year, right? So there's that familiarity.
Yeah, he should be.
Yeah, so, I mean, he's got that going for him. I just think Alex is going to have a really great year. I really think – so it's hard to say surprise. Last year was a surprise. But this year, I think if he keeps it upright, I think Alex could have a tremendous year. I think a tremendous year. So what do you think of Team Suzuki? Just the team.
Oof, they're going to be – do you mean about in terms of performance, or what's going to happen to the team without Davide Brivi and him moving to Formula One to Alpine?
All of it. I mean, seriously, with him, I mean, is that going to, is it going to set a little, the stasis, mess up the stasis of the team?
So I think he's leaving the team in a very good place, in the sense that he has created the dynamic between the Japanese and the European staff. But if has that key figure, he's a key figure in the team because being a Japanese factory team, but you have also half of your staff is European. You need someone to bridge and to make the connection between the two cultures and two very different working cultures. And people might underestimate, what he has done, and he has done an incredible job. So they say they're not going to replace him with anyone new. They're going to use someone from inside of the Suzuki family. We'll see how that goes and how that works. Do I think that's going to affect the performance of the riders? No, but it could change the dynamic, which could ultimately affect the riders. But not to begin with, because I think they're going to carry the momentum from the end of 2021. And I think Alex Rins has something to prove. He has a bit of a chip on his shoulders.
Yes.
Saying, I have a competitive bike. My teammate won the title. Why can't I?
Yeah.
So I think there's going to be that. And then there's going to be Mir wanting to win a title again, but with Mark back.
Oh, yeah. I think, like I said, it reads like a soap opera. It really does. That's why I really think the off-season MotoGP, the off-season combined with, the silly season MotoGP just makes it so much like you're literally chomping at the bit. If it was like a TV series on Netflix, man, everybody would be watching this. I mean, really.
Because we should make Ride to Survive. Instead of Drive, it should be Ride to Survive.
I'm with you. It should be that way. They should make that. And put it on Netflix and have you do it. Have you host it?
Yeah.
Seriously,
yeah, I'll be happy.
I mean, how great are all the stories going on? We got, like I said, we got Polk coming in the Repsol. We got the defending champion that people are like, okay, yeah, but like I said, he didn't wow you. Okay, you got Miller going into the factory Ducati team, but I think he's going to do well. You got Rossi going into a satellite team, but that satellite team has outperformed that factory team, new team. So I think I tell you what, Rossi usually does well in Qatar. Oh, man, I'm hoping he's competitive. I would love to see him get a podium. I'd like to see him do a race. I mean, when they counted him out years ago when he came back from Ducati, I remember when he won in Assen. I remember watching that race and crying like a little baby. I remember that, man. I was like, because the race is on a Saturday. They do Assen different back in those days. And I just remember like watching that race. And I just cried, man. And I had a woman over too, and she's like, "Are you crying?" I go, "It's time for you to go." I just remember that because Rossi won, and I did. I cried because I thought it was over for him, and he won. So, man, how do you think he'll do? How do you think he'll gel with the new team?
Rossi, he has made changes over the years. When he let Jeremy Burgess go, and he decided to change crew chief. I think he's going to welcome the change. He has. Let's not forget. Rossi has adapted to the different, as MotoGP has progressed and evolved, he has changed his riding style to adapt to the new era of MotoGP. So I think he will adapt yet again. But whether he will be the Rossi we knew back in the golden days, I'm not 100% sure that will be the case. I think we'll see peaks of performance, but the competition there, out there, man, it's going to be incredible. So we're also going to see peaks. We're going to see him shine, every now and then. But I wouldn't expect him to be up on the podium every single race. Or
No.
It's. I mean, don't forget the guys that are going to be out there on track with him that are half his age. Or it's. I'm sorry to say that, but it is a factor that comes into play because in terms of the recovery time, in terms of having back-to-back races, in terms of the fear of injury, because that is a very real thing. When you haven't crashed, you don't fear it. Once you've had an injury that takes long to heal, that's something that, plays in the back of your mind a little bit.
The funny thing about Rossi, if you watch it, and I always, when he was at the press conference in Austin, I was always asking him about, age and how does he feel. And the funny thing about it is he performed better at the hot tracks than he did at the other track. Because I would think with heat and being older, that would eventually just wear him down. And he did well at Jerez in race number 2. He gave Maverick everything he wanted. I mean, Maverick couldn't keep up with him for a while, remember? And he couldn't breathe. Maverick said he couldn't breathe because Rossi was on it and he made that mistake. But Rossi could have had a podium. I mean, he could have easily gotten second at that race, man. He was wearing Vinales' ass out. So, and it's weird because at the hot tracks, you would think, and then that'd be his downfall, but he actually does better there.
I think in the last couple of years, Rossi has upped his game in terms of the training and his preparation, his physical preparation. I don't think he lets anyone know, like on social media, what he does. Like other riders might show, their routines of when they're working out, what they do in terms of training. But I think he's secretly keeping it very hush hush and training in a different way to be able to handle those as well as he does. And I think that's very much the case because. Yes, age is a factor, but I think preparation, and if you have that endurance, you can train. I mean, you know that. You train. I see you on social media. You train, you cycle, you do your workouts, and it's something that, someone can be half your age, but if they don't train the same way you do, then they won't have the same endurance. So.
No, that's why I look like I'm 20. That's why I look like I'm 25, and I look like I'm an incredible athlete. I'll probably do the Tour de France next year just for fun, but it's not about me right now. It's not about me right now. How about?
Love it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Hey, but okay, Addie, just top of your head, has Aprilia got it down yet on what the hell they're doing? Have they?
I don't think so. Like, I honestly don't think what the thought process is behind in terms of the management. I don't know what the process is. I mean, they were backing up Iannone until, the official decision came about, which sort of dragged, it affected the performance of the team last season in terms of the mentality and the morale in the team because they don't know what's going to happen. You need to make a decision, man. You need to help your crew out. You need to help them, be able to concentrate and work towards a goal and not say, well, we have Bradley, but maybe we'll have Salvadori. It's like, no, guys, you need to focus. You need to give the team a goal. You need to, regroup and make sure that you're going in the same direction and you're not pulling them in different ways. Different riders, different riding styles. You need to be able to let the crew, do their job the best way they can. Because it's not just a matter of getting one guy on one bike. It's like you need to work together towards the same direction. And Aprilia right now seems to be all over the place. I mean,
they seem lost. I mean, they seem like a lost kid in a grocery store. I mean,
this is the thing, right? I do believe. I mean, Aleix is the pillar in which he's been with them the longest. But then at the same time, they've appreciated having Bradley Smith and, with his knowledge in terms of, developing the bike. So they see value in him. But at the same time, they have him have most of the season. Then towards the end, you get another guy on the bike, which is clearly not as fast. So it's like, and now the decision that they haven't made, because they haven't officially made a decision. It's like, I don't know. Like, I don't get it.
I think you called it best when you go, they were waiting on Iannone, and you don't wait on somebody, man. It's like, I mean, honestly, you don't wait. I mean, you make a decision.
The only way I can justify their behavior is that they did that because they had a contract in place, and until he was basically banned, they would have to honor that contract, and that way they wouldn't have to sort of, suffer any sort of like financial consequences. And that's the only reason that I could sort of find to justify, how they handled that. But again, that's none of my business. I'm not there to judge their, the way they handle that. But I was, I mean, just to think, for the crew internally, it must have been,
Yeah. I don't think they know what the hell they're doing. I don't think they know what the hell they're doing. Yeah. And it hurts them, and I feel bad for Aleix. And Aleix is getting to the point, it's like, I mean, he's doing a nice job, but it's like, and I think that if they would have developed it and the bike the way they should have gone or should have developed it, I mean, he did some great qualifying, but we knew he wasn't going to last for the duration of the race. And with that nucleus right there, they could have built on that. I forget why. I want to say it was Bruno, where I think Aleix qualified on the first or second row, I think. And I think they could have used that nucleus and built from that if they would have knew what the hell they were doing. But they don't, and it's like, oh man, and it's just so frustrating to watch. It's an Italian team, and I think the reason they bought Salvadorian was because he's an Italian rider. Personally, I think every Italian team wants an Italian rider, which I can understand that. But I think Joe Roberts is like, you know what, I'm gonna stay here in Moto2. I'm good. I think Joe.
And let's not forget they're going through a very difficult time right now because just a few days ago, Fausto Gresini, the owner of the team, passed away.
Oh my God, that hurt. That hurt me.
So it's let's not forget it's Fausto's team and it's Aprilia supports it, but it was Fausto's team in MotoGP. So it's it's hard.
That one was hard. I mean, I took that hard. I mean, it was like he was a nice guy, and it was like watching that happen, and yeah. That was a hard one. I wish them the best. I really do, but I hope they get their shit. I hope they get their shit together. Let's put it that way. I hope they get their shit together.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Okay, so here we go. Without naming any names, without naming it, we're gonna leave names out of it.
You know the thing is, right? You're putting me in the position I put writers usually in Inside Pass. So I'm like, oh God,
like
what are you gonna throw at me?
No, like what?
What are you gonna throw at me?
No, like I said, no names involved. No names. I'll never put name because you got to be around those guys. You know, I remember talking to Neil Hodgson. Yeah. I think Neil said something about Miller in an interview, and I think Miller wasn't expecting to write it, and he did. And Neil said he saw Jack the next day, and Jack flipped him off. So I would never put you. I would never put you in that position. I would never. So. Okay, let me see. I'm trying to think of without names. I'm trying to think without names. Oh, without names. Well, can you say names? Can you say names?
Ask the question, and we'll see.
Okay, you know what? I'll tell you what. We'll start with Moto 3. Who do you think title contender for Moto 3? Top 3 title contenders for Moto 3. Top 3 for Moto 3. Because I love me some Moto 3. Yes.
So Darren Binder is one for me. John McPhee.
Mm-hmm.
And Jaume Masia, I really like. Jaume Masia.
Okay.
He's
Spanish rider from the CEVs, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. I like that. I'm going to say, from what I hear, Rusei Yamanaka is supposed to be incredible. They say he didn't really get his bearings about him last year, but once he does, I'm going to say Yamanaka. I'm going to say Darren Binder. I think Binder's going to get it down. And for some reason, I'm cheating here. I'm cheating right now. I'm going to say Pedro Acosta. I like Pedro Acosta. I like what Pedro Acosta did.
Yes, but Pedro's going to be a rookie. There's going to be a few tracks that he doesn't know, so I'm not sure he's going to be able to fight yet for the title. Because bear in mind, most of the guys that are going to be alongside him on that grid have a lot of experience.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But
he's going to be good.
Along with Xavier Vargas, I like him. Who else? And how old is Fanati? He's like as old as me now, isn't he? I mean, seriously. How old is seriously? Fanati's been in Moto 3 since I think I've moved twice since he's been in Moto 3. I mean, how old is that?
Remember, Fanati was in Moto 3. He went to Moto 2 and then he went back to Moto 3.
Well, he had to go back to Moto 3. That was a hit.
He was banned.
Yeah,
he was banned for some time.
As well, he's lucky to be racing. I mean, to be honest, he's like he's not in prison. So, and that's for real though. That's for real. He's like he's not in prison for what he did. But I hope he does well. I like Sasaki. I like what Sasaki does. I think Sasaki's going to get it.
Good, yeah.
I think Sasaki's going to get it. And like I said, I'm cheating right now. I like what Sasaki's doing. I think Tatsu Suzuki's going to do well. I think Suzuki's going to do well.
Suzuki, yeah.
I think he's finally got it. And I think he's going to do really well. And I just, man, how did it hit you emotionally how he won when he won? I think it was on Marco's track. And, yeah. How was it? I mean, did it hit you in the fields too? I think I cried on that one too.
Every time I've interviewed Paolo Simoncelli, Marco's dad, at Misano ahead of a race, I've gotten goosebumps. And it's hard when you speak with him not to feel, just imagine whatever he could be feeling, And the thing is, and kudos to him because he's carrying on a legacy. He is still in racing after suffering such a loss, and
yes.
The passion that he shared with his son, he is making him carry on in life. And it's impressive to see him there, that, he still has that same passion and same drive, and he treats his riders like they're his own kids.
Yeah, they love him. They love him. I mean, he reminds me of my dad. You can see him cussing Suzuki out, but he loves him. You know what I mean? And when he won, you can tell he won for him. And that's what the thing about GP I love is that emotion. That is real. That is real passion. That is real. There's nothing artificial about that. When Fabio's pissed off and he shows it through his helmet. Remember last year, not last year, year before in Jerez. Remember when the bike seized up on him and he cried? Remember they had to come comfort him? Remember that? Oh my God! I mean, you can't script that. I mean, that's real, raw emotion. That's what I love about GP. So, okay. So how about Moto 2? Who's your top 3 for Moto 2?
Okay, so this is the thing. Sam Lowe's should be the title contender for this year. He should be probably the man to beat because the guys that were, fighting for the title are now rookies in MotoGP. So he's the man. He's the one who has to set the bar this season. So
yeah. And if
he
didn't get hurt in, what was that race? Was it Valencia when he hurt his hand? and he tried to race. Oh, man, that hurt me to watch. But, yeah, I say Sam Lowe's, but I'm going to say Marco Bezzecchi. I'm going to say Bezzecchi, Joe Roberts. I'm going to say Bezzecchi, Joe Roberts, and for some reason, my wild card, Tony Arbolino.
Oh, Tony.
I love Tony. They say this guy is, when he gets it, it's gonna be his. When he gets it, it's gonna be his.
Bear in mind, he is a rookie, and Moto2 is not the easiest class. It's so easy to get lost in the shuffle in the intermediate class. It's like you said, when you were talking about Fab, he's like, oh, you said you could barely hear his name, and then all of a sudden he got that season MotoGP class. Like, it's so easy to get lost in the shuffle. So Sonny is a good shout. I still think Sam has the highest chances of winning that title. I think Bezzecchi, because he's no longer a rookie and he has that drive in him. I think Jake Dixon could do something very, very interesting.
Yes. I think it's going to be between Jake and Lowe's, personally. Jake Lowe's and Bezzecchi. I'm telling you, I like Bezzecchi. You know why? It's the passion they showed in Moto3. And Arbolino last year, when I think they messed up in qualifying, and he had to miss that race because of COVID, and so they put him behind.
And he wasn't even COVID positive. He was on a flight.
He's on a flight.
There was a COVID positive person.
2 rows behind
quarantine.
him. Yes. Yeah. So, and the fact that he never gave up. He raced his ass off in Aragon. He did what it took until the very last. He fought to the very end, and the way he fought and clawed, and he did everything it took, and he just came up short. And I'll go, this kid's a champ. But Bezzecchi the same way in Moto3. Remember, he cried. When he didn't make it, he cried, and the camera's on him, man, and they shielded the camera away from him. And I was like, this kid, to me, that's the passion I want in a rider. And I'm telling you, Bezzecchi this year, along with Dixon and Lowe's, and I'm going to say Roberts. Not because he's an American. I just think Roberts has a nice, he's with the defending championship team. So I think, so I think Roberts, but yeah, I got to go with Lowe's, Dixon, and watch out for Arbolino and Bezzecchi. So let's go to GP. Let's go to GP. Who do you have for GP? And it's funny, we talked about him, but we didn't talk about him, and that's the King. What do you think the King's going? When the King comes back, if he comes back, how do you think he'll do?
I think he'll be back.
Okay, so if he comes back, who do you have at GP?
But he needs to get his feeling back with the bike. Bear in mind, he hasn't been back on the bike for months now. So even if at some point he gets the test, it'll be a road bike. It won't be it will be a street bike, not his MotoGP bike. So very different. But he still needs to get that feeling back and then get back, to being competitive. But I think he will be back. Not sure if he'll be there at the very beginning of the season, but he'll be back.
Top 3, Vanessa.
It's gonna be a tough one.
Come on, Vanessa. Come on. Make a decision.
It's going to be a tough one to call, man. You're putting me on the spot.
That's what I do, Vanessa. That's what I do. Come on.
It's harder to call them Moto3 and Moto2, to be honest, because the level is incredible. I think Mead is definitely going to be there. I think Jack's going to be in the fight. I think Alex Rins is going to be super hungry for that title too.
Okay.
Fabio.
Yes, but like you called it though. He's got the pressure, and he
has that pressure. So
he got the factory ride.
I think the Suzukis are going to be clear title contenders. Absolutely.
Well, quit being a politician and give me the top 3.
I can't, man. I can't.
Prime Minister Carlotta. Come on, quit stalling. Give me the top 3. Come on, make a stand. You know how you ladies tell us either shit or get off the pot? I want you to, come on. Top 3.
Top 3 doesn't matter the order. They're not in order.
Oh, God, here we go with this.
Yes. So Mir Morbidelli and Rins are going to be there. But I don't know. And Jack. My top 4 are there. Those are my top 4 for the season. Not in that order precisely. It could be any order.
Mir, Morbidelli, Rins, Mir.
And Jack.
Jack. So Mir, Morbidelli, Jack.
My top 4, not in that order.
Okay.
That would be my top 4.
That's your top 4.
Yours?
My top 4, Marquez, Miller. You got to go with the defending champion, Mir. He's just so smooth. And Morbidelli. I think Morbidelli over Fabio. I think Morbidelli's got a smoother price. I think between those two, that's almost a tie. You know what? I tell you what I'm gonna do. It's gonna be Marquez Miller, and I'm gonna take Morbidelli and Fabio over Mir.
What about Mir?
That's what I'm saying. It's a tough decision, but I'm going to take those over the defending champion. I think Fabio, because Fabio raced him so tough last year, and I don't know what the deal was. Maybe it's the pressure, but I'm going to say Fabio. So I'm going to say Marquez, Miller, Morbidelli, Fabio. Those four. Mir fifth. Me, I know. Defending champion, I know. But I'm making a stand, Vanessa. That's what you do.
No,
That's what you do.
I like your selection, but I'll switch Rins for Fabio.
Okay. So now you want to switch. See, I gave you the chance, but somebody stood on the fence. See, I made that decision is what I did. That's what I did. I made it. That's the top four right there. Because I like I said, man, Marquez is from a different cloth. I don't know when he comes back, but when he does come back, and I said it in my article I write, Daddy's home and he's got the keys. And that's the way I feel about it.
Bear in mind, we're not going to Austin in the beginning of the season. We're not going to Argentina, which are two tracks that are very favorable to him. So we're not going to go there. And we don't know yet what's going to happen in Thailand. And so actually, yeah, we are. It is scheduled for the end of the season. But, Marta has always been uber competitive first half of the season, because there are tracks that he really enjoys, so left-handers, more left-handers than right-handers. But we'll see. I mean, it's true.
I mean, it's just Marquez, man. I mean, I don't care what you throw at him. You could throw a track he hadn't raced on before at night with no night lights, and he still find a way to win. You can put a flashlight on that bike.
Because he hasn't ridden at Portimao with a MotoGP bike. He has with a Moto2, but not with a MotoGP.
He'll still find a way. You watch. I mean, champions find a way, and that's what he's probably studying it now. We don't know what he's done. He's probably studying it now. I mean, that's just what he does, man. He's just a different breed. Okay, who's the surprise rider, MotoGP? The surprise rider this year, MotoGP. It'd be anybody. It'd be a veteran or rookie. The surprise rider of MotoGP this year.
Surprise rider. Surprise rider. I think it's going to be one of the rookies, the ones that's going to surprise us the most.
I'm going to go with Martin.
I'm on the fence between Martin and Bastianini. I'm really on the fence with them because the rest of them, I mean, Marini, for whatever reason, I don't feel he's going to take to the class as fast.
Yeah, I feel that.
I think Bastianini and Martin will.
Yeah. So that's going to be the surprise for you, a tie between Bastianini and Martin. Okay.
Yeah.
I think the surprise for me will be definitely is going to be Jorge Martin with I'm going to say Zarco. I'm going to say Zarco also. Because I think Zarco's going to feel that, like, oh, you think he's better than me? And, they kind of, like I said, it's just that the way they were talking to him with Zarco there is like the kind of disrespect, and hopefully he'll use that. So I got the surprise for me be Jorge Martin and then Zarco. So I think the Pramac team, period.
Okay, so I'm just checking. Martin's gonna have Daniele Romagnoli as his crew chief, and Zarco has Marco Rigamonti. They're both crew chiefs with a lot of experience. They're in good hands, man. They have a very good crew.
Okay.
I mean, Zarco's gonna clearly lead in the team, but I think Jorge's gonna adapt really fast.
Okay. Who's going to be the, man, I hate to say this, like maybe a disappointing, a drop-off. And I don't mean in that bad way, but you can see them having a drop-off. Like,
That's a mean one, man. Like,
it is kind of, but I feel, I'll go first because sometimes.
I don't know how the marriage between the KTM and Petrucci is going to be. I don't know.
Yep, that's exactly what I was going to say. Petrucci and Iker, Luciano, I think that team, although their bikes are beautiful, those bikes are, I call them the Halloween bikes. They are beautiful. They're orange and black. I mean, they are beautiful. But yeah, I feel that way with them. And like I said, I hope I'm wrong. I want to be wrong on the prediction when it comes to like somebody having an off year. I want to be wrong. I want every one of those guys to prove me wrong. But I think I'm going to have to go with, that team. I just... and like I said, I hope I'm wrong, but yeah. But I'm interested to see this year how Miguel Oliveira does in Portimao. I mean, can he pull that off again, what he did that last race? Oh, my God. That was a masterpiece.
I think he can.
Think so?
I think so.
Okay, and why is that? Why?
Yeah. Because he's someone. Okay, so this is the thing. He got the pole. He got the win. Home Grand Prix, first time ever for anyone in the Mercedes class to ride in Portimao. That kind of confidence, plus being at home, it's just gonna, it's that momentum that you have. And if he has on top of that his home crowd,
yes,
he would explode there. It's gonna be the third race of the season, so we won't have people at the track. We won't have fans at the track. But I think it's very possible. It depends on how well he adapts to the new crew.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great. I think it's okay. How do you think Bender's
He already has the settings, man. He already has like a lot, the work done from last year.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great.
They're not supposed to change that much, so the job's already part of it's done.
I think it's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it. Who's the most fun you've ever had on Inside Pass? The most fun rider you ever had fun playing with on Inside Pass? I think you and Marquez have a great synergy. I love watching you guys together. Y'all really do. You guys are like brother and sister, man. Y'all are fun.
Yeah.
So I say Marquez, but who is it?
I've had good fun with Mark, obviously, with Paul Espargaro, with Jack Miller, even though he loves to take the piss. Absolutely loves taking the piss out of me. He does. He is maturing, though. He's getting a bit more serious now.
Yeah.
Or
okay.
so it seems.
Yeah.
But Paul's always a really good sport.
Yeah, he seems like it.
But the most fun, if you watch the Australian Grand Prix vlog from 2019, I mean, Paul just cracked me up because I did the blindfold challenge.
Yes.
And then in Japan, also 2019 with the chili and the sweet.
Yes, I remember that one. Yes.
I mean, it was,
Okay.
I mean, Paul and Mark take the cake.
Is your job as fun as we think it is? Is it as fun as we think it is?
Do you think it's fun?
I think you look like, I'm envious. Not in a bad way. I'm just like, you know what I mean? 'Cause I love bikes so much, and knowing you, I'm so happy for you. But it looks like you're doing motorcycles, you're talking to GP riders, and you're doing fun stuff with them. So it looks like it's a lot of fun. But is it as fun as you think, as we think it is?
It's a lot of fun, but there's a lot of preparation and work that goes into it for it to look fun and to be fun.
Yeah.
There's a lot that goes into it. And, we need to make sure that they have fun too. Because if you've seen them at Media Scrubs, they have they have a line of 10 TVs asking the same questions over and over again. So we try to, spice things up, ask different questions, make them shine, like you said earlier. And that's our job. And in order to do that, you need to have the right setup.
Right.
And you need to line that up for them to have some fun.
Okay. Has there ever been a rider who you could just tell didn't really want to do it? I know one already that he's not even on the GP anymore. But has there been a rider that you that you could tell that this is the last thing they wanted to do? Like they had a really sour attitude?
Yeah, Andrea Iannone was one that.
No, that's the one I talked about. Yeah.
Enjoy the format. He was one that was like, I have better things to do in my life. Instead of just taking it, and enjoying it, he was just like, this is not for me. And it's I can respect that. It's not for everyone.
Well, now he's got a lot of time to do what's in it for him now. He's got a lot of time because he's at a GP, and that is a shame. Also, he did that to himself, but that was a damn shame. But do you think that penalty was too much? I think it was because he appealed the first one, and they were like, "Oh, really?" And I think that was almost piling on, if you ask me, personally.
I think had he not appealed, like you said, maybe he would have gotten a lighter sentence, and he maybe could have come back. But still, had he been banned for 4 years or 2 years, like out of sight, out of mind, sort of a thing, and in racing, because there's so much young talent coming up, I'm not sure he would have had a seat, even if he had just had a 2 or 4 year ban. In a way, I understand the FIM. They need to send a clear message to the young generations. Like, if you do that, you're going to get punished, and
right.
We're not messing around. So was it really tough? Yes. Was it necessary? You need to teach the young generations. And like you said, he did it to himself. Nobody forced him.
Right. Okay.
And you need to set precedent for the young ones. That's the thing.
That's true. And so, but speaking of that and being absent, do you really think Dobie's going to come back next year? Or there'll be a possibly a seat for him? I mean, with all, like you said, with all this young talent, around, I mean, I just can't see them going, okay, we're going to have a room for a 35-year-old rider, even though he's a MotoGP rider, a 35-year-old rider to come in and help us. I mean, he's going to want to win a championship. He's not going to come back just to, go mid-pack. He's going to want to be with a contender. And, you've seen the youth movement in GP. So do you think that he's really going to come back? Yes or no? Yes or no?
I would love for him to come back. I'm not sure there'll be a place for him.
So
I'm not sure. I'm not sure there'll be a ride in terms of the contract because I think everyone has pretty much a 2-year deal. Not all of them, but pretty much everything. Like Mark's locked in for 4 seasons. Most of them have 2-year contracts. Some of them are on their last year of their contract. So, but I'm not sure if the bikes that are going to become available are going to be interested to him because he has been offered. He's had the chance to go to Aprilia and he said no. He has been asked to be a test rider for Honda, and he kind of has declined that. That I know, maybe not. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I've heard rumors, but nothing confirmed.
Right.
So, I mean, to be so secure in your own thoughts that you decide to cut yourself off because, for example, Bradley Smith, he was very smart about it because he became the test rider for Aprilia, and then the second that they needed someone to jump on the bike, he was ready. He maintained his fitness, the racer mentality, and he was he was ready for that chance when it came up. So I think it's a waste of talent. The fact that he's not on the grid, it's a shame that Ducati and him couldn't find a compromise to keep him.
Yeah, I read what he and Gigi really didn't get along. It was ugly. Man, that was ugly, But I mean,
it's human. BT, it's human. Not everyone gets along. Not everything is is rosy. It's life. You don't get along with everyone. I don't get along with everyone.
You don't get along with anybody. You seem like you get along with everybody. Are there people that don't like you? Are there people that don't like you?
For sure.
Like who? Without no name, but who? Who doesn't get along with you? Who?
People that don't like me, I guess. People that, there's people that don't understand why I'm, in the industry or why I'm doing the job that I am, or that it should be a man instead of me. I mean, I've had those comments before.
Really?
Yeah.
By who? Other men? By men or women? By men?
Men.
Of course.
Yeah.
Because they're jealous. You know why? Because you do your thing, baby. Because you're one of the best at what you do. And they think you're just a pretty face. But what you guys don't know is I rode in the car with this lady from Madrid to Valencia, and she schooled me on everything MotoGP. And I was like, wow, I need to shut up right now. So she does know what she's doing. She's one of the best at what she does. So anybody talking that needs to stop that because Vanessa Carlotta, you are one of the best. And I mean it from the bottom of my heart. No, I mean that. And you helped me out today because, like I said, I had somebody else, my other guest fell ill. And I was at the gym. I go, oh, no. I was at the gym going, what do I do? And I go, you know what? MotoGP. And I go into my Instagram feed, and I knew they were testing. I go, MotoGP testing. I go, Vanessa. For some reason, I go, Vanessa. That's the first thing I thought about because MotoGP, you know what I mean? And so you were so gracious. And I just want to thank you so much. It's so good to talk MotoGP. I love all my guests who aren't GP, but GP is just in my heart. It's in my heart like you are. I just love GP, and I love talking GP, which I can do that all day long. So I want to say thank you so much for coming on and making this entertaining, and we could talk, intellectually. And it's National Women's Month too. I don't know if it's over there, but Women's Month. And So how about that? You're my first guest on National Women's Month. How about that? That shows what I do.
I'm honored.
I'm honored. I'm honored. Honestly, anytime I get a chance to see you, it's always my pleasure. I mean it from the bottom of my heart. And thank you so much.
Well, thank you, and it's always great to help out a friend, and especially when you're so passionate about MotoGP.
Man, you have no idea. I have a picture of Rossi above my bed like I'm 8 years old. I have a picture of Rossi above my bed like I'm 8 years old. You think I'm joking? I'll send you a picture just so you know that I'm not just saying this. And you're like, how old is this guy? And seriously, if you saw my room and you didn't know how old he was, you go, so is this kid like a senior in high school? Like, no, it's a grown ass man. I mean, I really am. I have a picture of Rossi like I'm a high school senior. That's the truth, man. Anything else you want to plug, baby? Anything else you want to plug?
Yeah, I mean, there's two preseason episodes of Inside Pass coming up, so make sure to watch them because they're going to be pretty special. They're going to be very different to what you've seen before, because it's going to take place outside of the racetrack, and you're going to see the riders, two of them, because I've done 4 riders. And the first episode is going to be a bit of a lockdown-ish, but the second one is going to be the riders at their hometowns in their own elements, and we're going to get some pretty cool insights, so watch them.
I look forward to it. Inside Pass with Vanessa Carlotta. You can take it on YouTube or Red Bull TV. Guys, thank you so much, Vanessa. I appreciate you. I mean it from the bottom of my heart. Thank you, viewers, for watching Tales from a Gemini with BT. And like I say around this time,